If you suffer from the negative influences of poor air quality in your area, maybe you're dealing with wildfire smoke inhalation or algae blooms in your coastline, or live in a city where there's enhanced smog and air quality warnings. Today I'm going to share with you 7 resources for you to deploy to support, enhance, and heal your respiratory system under the influence of poor air quality, smoke inhalation, and other particulates that could be causing you respiratory grief and causing oxidative stress in your mucous membranes and your bronchial lung passageways. So excited to share with you today's healing video. The state of the air quality where you live and work and play can greatly and negatively impact the state of your respiratory health, as well as your mucous membranes like your eyes, even your ears, your nose, and your throat. And allergens and irritants and inflammatory factors from wildfire smoke and smog and air pollution and even algae blooms are what we're targeting today in these 7 steps for optimal respiratory health healing. Now, these tips are also beneficial for individuals who suffer from asthma, COPD, bronchitis, or frequent sinus infections, and ear, nose, and throat angst, upper respiratory infections. These 7 tips you can use for those conditions as well. So number 1, the most powerful thing you can do to remove irritants, allergens, and inflammatory factors that you're inhaling in your air is going to be deploying a saline rinse. We can use saline eye drops, we can use saline sprays and neti pots in the nasal passageway, and we can even do oral saline flushes and throat gargles. And the next step here leads into number 2. We reach for saline to hydrate, to function as an anti-inflammatory, to reduce inflammation, swelling of the passageways, and the salt in the saline is actually antimicrobial and antibacterial. This is a preventative if you tend to have greater inclination towards an infection or upper respiratory infection or respiratory grief. And it's also great for cutting down and reducing the amount of mucus, which that can harbor bacteria and cause even greater angst. Now we're going to segue our saline into something more potent, and that's number 2, using a saline nebulizer. I love this because this is a way to deliver saline into the bronchioles and your lungs. And the same effect that we get from eye drops that have saline in them and the saline rinses for your sinus passageway, we can use a nebulizer to diffuse saline to help create more hydration to those passageways, to ease irritation from smoke inhalation or algae blooms, and also to help combat any mucosal production that might be occurring. It's not uncommon that patients get diagnosed with pneumonia after exposure to an irritant or pollutant that's in the air that they breathe. This is an example of a nebulizer, and this little part down here is what you actually will remove and fill with saline solution. You can buy this whole setup online. They're very easy, so you don't need a prescription. And this, you just fill to the line, and you usually will have the nebulizer on. Has a little stretchy band, so you put it over your face, and it goes right up to your face, and you inhale and you breathe in the saline. Usually we do a treatment for 10 to 15 minutes. Now, number 3 is one of my favorite respiratory supportive compounds, and it is called NAC, NAC. NAC is a mucolytic agent. This helps to enhance expectoration, to get you coughing up mucus and phlegm, and helps to clear respiratory passageways from the sinuses to the bronchioles to even your lung tissue. NAC is something that I've used with a lot of my COVID patients and post-COVID syndrome patients. It really, really helps to soothe. It helps to soothe the irritated passageways. It also helps to reduce the oxidative stress that occurs from a pollutant and an allergen or irritant to the whole entire respiratory system. If you're dealing with a lot of respiratory grief, you can microdose NAC, and I would microdose for no more than a week and a half. And microdosing is going to be an AM dose, a midday dose, and a PM dose. I'll post instructions in the description box below with one of my favorite NACs that I recommend to my patients. Peruse the description box for actually links to all of these items I'm recommending. Number 4 is my favorite respiratory supportive herb, and it's called MULLEIN. MULLEIN is just such a great soothing, anti-inflammatory, swelling reducing herbal. MULLEIN creates this protective kind of barrier in your sinus, bronchial, and lungs passageways. It coats and soothes and minimizes irritated, inflammatory mucosal tissue and just really eases coughing. It also eases asthma, and it reduces inflammation and swelling of all of your respiratory mucosal membranes. I love MULLEIN as a supplement, but you can take MULLEIN tea, it tastes fantastic, and you can also get liquid herbal drops with MULLEIN. My next recommendation, which is to make a thyme tea. Thyme, like THYME, the herbal thyme. You can use dried thyme or fresh thyme from your garden and brew up and steep for 10 minutes this amazing, very respiratory nutrient dense tea that will soothe and ease inflammation and coughing. Thyme is really good for reducing irritation. Now 6, we need to address, clear up, and remedy your indoor air quality. And many folks who live in areas where they're being exposed to wildfire smoke, this is really big right now. Wildfire smoke can actually get into hallways of apartment buildings and office buildings and can get even sucked into your cars and your homes. It's really important that we tackle clearing up your indoor air. The first thing we want to deploy in this category is a very strong HEPA air filter. And I'm talking not just your air filters in your house. You definitely want to clear those and clean those at least weekly if you have this exposure. But you also want to have a unit that you can plug into your room. Your bedrooms are really key, so every bedroom where there's an individual sleeping at night, you want to have an air filter in the rooms, and then you also want to have 1 or 2 air filters in the shared spaces, like your dining room or your kitchen and or your living room family space. We want to filter the air and be very particular about capturing all of these particulates and clearing up the air, because the allergens, the irritants, and the things that are causing your sinuses and your respiratory passageways grief can actually be brought inside as well, on our clothing, on our pets, and our shoes, and through the opening of doors and even air intake vents. So it's very important that we deploy good air quality practices with air filters. I'll include my favorite air filter. It is a bit of an investment, but I promise you it is extremely effective. And this particular unit, you would not have to change out the air filters as frequently as you would some of the other cheaper ones because of the unit, the quality. These are hospital grade, high potency filters. I use them in all of our rooms. The other thing that I love and deploy here in our house is you can use plants to help clear and clean your air. The 3 powerful plants that you want to have, you want to buy them, bring them in, put them in the bedrooms, put them in shared spaces, and definitely put these in your bathrooms. They also will help minimize mold and mildew, are going to be a spider plant, a snake plant, and peace lilies. Those are all really wonderful air cleaning plants. Now my 7th tip is to deploy oil diffusers. Essential oil diffusing in your home, your workspaces, can be very powerful at helping decongest your sinuses. An essential oil like eucalyptus can help decongest your sinus and respiratory passageways. It opens up your airways, it's very soothing, and it also makes you feel like you're in a spa. Win-win, because we get that emotional support. Sometimes it's very stressful when you're not breathing well. And if you are really plagued with poor air quality or overwhelmed by wildfire smoke, which is very common, we're in the season right now where there are going to be wildfires. This is my bonus tip, I also recommend that you order and have on hand and routinely monitor your oxygen levels. You want to monitor and make sure you're staying above 98 to 99. The majority of the time you want to be at 99. I recommend monitoring your oxygen levels because it sometimes can be something where you don't always notice or feel the fact that your oxygen levels are dipping. And we want to avoid you dropping below 96, 95, 94. It's not uncommon. I'll have patients dropping below 90 when they have an asthma attack, or there's algae, or there's wildfire smoke that they're dealing with. I started my clinicals up in the north and have had an extensive amount of wildfire expertise. And so this is a category that I know that these 7 resources and some of these additions and even changes in your home will be extremely impactful currently if you're dealing with smoke inhalation or poor air quality, smog, air pollution that's causing you respiratory grief. And it's also good prevention so that we lower your symptoms so that it doesn't affect your life and you can stay status quo even though our environment is changing and we're noticing more and more situations where air quality is decreasing. So thanks for joining me today. If you love this video, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know if there are any specific questions you have about air quality, respiratory health. I'm happy to do more content related to asthma and other COPD related topics. So make sure you let me know what you prefer in the future. I look forward to seeing you on our next video. See you then.